Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda, and we're going to do a book review. But before we start, there's a couple of things that I want to say about how I'm planning to do reviews going forward. And especially since I'm about to start talking about the finalists or my team's finalists in the self-published sci-fi competition, I wanted to at least be able to explain how I do book reviews. So I feel like book reviews are very subjective. Like, there's not really a straight across the board way that you can measure the goodness of a book. I know that there are some common themes or common things that people, reviewers and readers like about books, but overall, I feel like there's just not a definitive way that you can rate a book that will be just straight across the board. So let me start by saying, I very rarely give books below a 3. Like a 3 out of 5 is one of my lowest ratings because I have written a book and I know that it's hard. And I don't even care if it's a good book. I mean, I didn't write a wonderful book and it was still hard. So if somebody goes to the trouble to write a book and they put that much into it, because I know what it takes, it's a lot, and they at least deserve a 3 out of 5. So that's all I'm saying. Unless, let's go through, unless it's super offensive or it is just so bad I can't get through it, in which case I will DNF it. So if I finish a book, it's at least going to get a 3 for the most part. There are some times where I'm forced to finish a book, like a competition book, and I don't think that it's worth 3 stars. Let's go into the 7 categories that I look at when I'm reviewing a book. So number 1, are the characters likable and believable, and do I connect to them? Now, I don't have to love the characters as people. Like, I don't have to love what they're doing. They don't have to be quote unquote good guys. That's not what I'm looking for. I want to know if they feel real and if I feel a connection to them. Those are the main things that I'm looking for. And that can be up to 2 points. So I give a book up to 2 points based on the likableness, the believability, and the connection that I have to the characters. Number 2, is the story premise interesting? That's it. Did the author sit down and go, hey, I wonder, what if, and whatever they came up with is intriguing to me, you get a point. So this is almost always going to be given a point, because why would I read a book that I didn't think the premise sounded interesting? But sometimes people will offer books to me or like suggest books to me, and I say yes sometimes, and I don't know what the books are about. And a lot of times I hear people talking about books in a more general term, a general way, and I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty good. I will get that. But then by the time I get to reading it, I have no idea what it's about. Like, I don't remember what they said about it. I don't remember anything about it. So, did the story premise interest me? That's 1 point. Number 3, was it good writing that kept me engaged? I said bonus for if it's funny, because I really like funny books. Not like, I don't know how to explain, not like goofy comedic books, but a book that makes me smile or that makes me laugh would get a little bit of a bonus. If I'm trying to decide, this one's worth 2 points. So if I'm trying to decide, kind of, I'm on the fence about something, if it's funny, it'll get it a rounding up. But good writing that keeps me engaged. It doesn't mean that the plot has to be constantly moving and moving and moving. It means, am I connected to what's happening in the story, and do I want to continue going with this story? So that gets 2 points as well in my rating. So we're already at 5 points, but I'm telling you, this only goes to 10, and then I divide it by 2. So it's very simple to do my rating system. Number 4, how is the pacing and flow of the story? This is also worth 2 points. Now, this is where some of that plot comes in. No, the plot doesn't have to continually move really quickly for me, but are the moments where we are getting expository writing, like where we're being explained how the world works and maybe there's a lull in the action. Is that still holding me and keeping me engaged, or do I start going, no, this is very slow in this part, and then there's another part where things are happening so quickly that I can't even keep up with what's going on? So the pacing is just off. That is worth 2 points. Number 5. 5, 6, and 7 are the last 3, and they're all 1 point each. So, number 5. Was it a good, satisfying ending? Now, I laughed at this one because this one seems like the most arbitrary to me. Like, am I happy at the end of the book is what I want to know. And it doesn't mean happy like, oh, everybody lived and everything was wonderful. Am I satisfied with the way the book wrapped up? Do I feel content with the ending of this book? That gets you 1 point if I feel that way about the book. Number 6, are there grammar or wording issues? This one, I have tried. I have tried to ignore grammar issues or grammar problems when I see them in a book. I do not correct the people around me when they're speaking and they use incorrect grammar. I don't correct them. I don't want people to correct me. However, I feel like when you're writing a book, especially when it gets to the point that it is being published, then there should not be enough grammatical errors that it pulls me out of the story often. So, 1 point for good grammar and no wording issues. And wording issues also means like, did you sit a thesaurus beside you and literally change every word to make it be like the most intelligent sounding words? Like, did you do that? Because if so, you're not getting your 1 point. I want it to be real words. I'm not saying that it has to be at a 5th grade reading level. I'm saying real words that sound authentic for your narrator / characters to be using. That's what I want for wording. That's 1 point. Then the final number 10 point. World building and descriptions. And I put these together because number 1, descriptions don't mean a ton to me. Like it doesn't bother me if you barely describe the location that we're in, if you barely describe the people that we're around, because my mind fills in those blanks anyway as I'm reading. And so I don't need you to exactly tell me everything. I mean, it's okay if the book does that, but it doesn't have to. So that's not super important to me. And I put world building in the same category because world building doesn't always apply to every book or every genre. Like there's not, if you just have a straightforward contemporary book or contemporary romance, they're going to be just set in our world. There's not going to be anything that's going to have to be extra as far as world building goes. So I combine those together, and that also is worth 1 point. So that means that my rating system all adds up to 10 points. And then I just give everything a point and I divide by 2, and that is how I get my rating. Now, sometimes my divide by 2 still equals less than 3 out of 5. So then I have to decide, am I going to bump this up to a 3 or am I going to keep it at a 2.5? I've never had one below a 2.5, but I know I did my whole speech about how I never give a rating less than a 3, but then I started implementing this and I was like, I think I'm going to start giving a 2.5 because that book really was a 2.5 for me. And that's right in the middle. I mean, that's not horrible. It's like right in the middle. So now my ratings will be from 2.5 to 5 stars. So I want to know what your rating system is. Do you have one? I have been rating and reviewing books for well over a year on YouTube, and definitely longer than that off of YouTube. But I just decided I really wanted something that I could say, here's what I thought about this part, and here's what I thought about this part, and then add it all up at the end, and here is my rating for this book. So that is the way I'm definitely going to do all the book reviews for the sci-fi, self-published sci-fi competition that I'm on the team for. But that's how I'm going to start doing all of my reviews going forward, at least the written reviews. I don't know that I'm going to sit here and have all the stats pop up here for all the ratings that I gave it, unless you guys want to see that, and then I can do that. But I'm definitely going to do it for the competition, and then we'll just see if I do it for the rest of the books. But that is my rating system. Newly developed. I've used it on 4 books now. And like I said, 2.5 has been the lowest one. But I've also gotten a 5-star out of it. So let me know what you guys do to rate books and what you think about my system. What questions would you ask yourself? Or what questions do you ask yourself if you were coming up with this rating system? I really want to talk about it. I'm very curious about what other people do. So I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.